When you hear the word value associated with money and finances, typically you're thinking of maybe a number that might come into mind, or at least I know I would be. But really, this episode today is all about value in terms of what you as a person value, and then how that relates to how you make decisions in your life. So if you're looking for some interesting connections to help you process information better, and with an emphasis on how we can be more creative, taking away one thing that, well, machines just aren't doing for us quite yet and probably aren't going to be anytime soon, this is an episode you won't want to miss. It is another episode here at Humanize Automation. This is Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, your host, and I'm so excited to open up this conversation today, a little different perspective about building a financial business with Yair Klyman. He is the founder of Klyman Financial and has an interesting journey. So I'm not going to share any more because I'm going to let him do it. Yair, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jill, for having me on. And I've been a big fan and really love what you're doing. Love the perspective you're bringing to your listeners. It's really amazing.
Well, thank you so much. And I absolutely love what you do from the perspective in the financial space, because it's really based in behavior and emotion and human psychology. But before we go too far into that, I would love everyone to kind of get an overview of your lens. Like, how did you come to where you are today?
So I have a little different background when it comes to finance. A lot of people with finance from finance come from something like they went to some amazing school, or they got some degree, or they did something here. I actually did quite the opposite. So when I was really, really young, my parents went through like significant credit card debt, like stack of credit card, problems with our home, problems really around everything. And money really controlled our lives. It was a really big problem. And you start to learn how money affects you negatively. And when, let's say, my dad was in sales, and let's say something would happen positively, you would learn what would happen when money came in positively and how things would change. And you're able to actually understand money. How you get motivated for money is a whole nother story. So we learned as a really young age, and I was always very, very open, and I loved talking about money because I loved learning what other people did and seeing the value that they had with the amount of income, and comparing their income to what they did in the community or what they did just in general as a job. And I learned that from a very young age. And then when I got into the financial field, I went, you know what? I want to make a lot of money. I don't like to be poor. It stinks to be poor. For anybody who's poor, I'm sorry, and you'll get out of it. So what happened was I met somebody when I always worked, and I always worked really, really hard. And I met somebody, and I say to him, okay, well, I have my goals for my finances. And he goes, okay, well, what do you want to make your first year out of college? I said, I want to make anywhere between 150 to 175 my first year out of college. And he says, okay, well, write a check to yourself dated from today to a year from now for $250,000. So I made $250,000 that first year out of college. Then he goes, okay, come back and now write a check for yourself for $500,000. And I realized as you do that, one is money can control you, but the way to truly build wealth is actually to take money out of the equation. And the more successful people you see, the less they actually think about making money, because money is so much more irrelevant than actually the work or the passion or the drive that they're doing. Money doesn't motivate for a long period of time. So I went into that whole path on how to actually motivate people to make more money, which helps them build wealth. And now we have a multiple seven-figure firm. We're one of the top 50 producers on the life insurance side. We're a big firm in terms of wealth management, and we really focus on the behavior side of finances.
I love that story. And I think so many of us, you can let money drive you to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it's what that money allows you to do, and how that ties with what you value, what you care about in life. And I remember, I'll never forget the first question that my financial planner that I've had for, like 12, 13, 14 years now, sat down and asked. And I was so intimidated to go into that appointment, as a beginning entrepreneur, trying to figure things out, making sure I had a safety net. But he asked me, what does money mean to you? I'm like, huh? Like, I was expecting you to ask me for my portfolios and my bank account figures and whatnot. No, it was all about this kind of idea of behavior and value. What does money mean to you? And then let's build on that. And I know one of the things that you've done is really trained yourself in this whole concept of behavioral financial advice. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So, and I know that you know it very, very
Yeah.
well because you are like literally the designer of this. That's why I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. But understanding the way that you actually feel about money is actually going to be helpful in the way you build money and build wealth and build riches. So if somebody, for example, let's use me for an example. I am somebody that I do not like to be tied down. I don't like to be told what to do. My wife knows it. My kids know it. Everybody knows it. I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be dragged down by anything. I don't like owning rental property. That is something I don't like doing. Yes, people build wealth in rental property. That's a great thing. I don't like to manage and deal with rental property. I don't want anyone texting me. I don't like anyone bothering me. One of my core values is independence. So if you find out, and I challenge everybody listening today, write down at the beginning of this, right now, as basically we're just warming up, write down your 5 biggest values. If one of them is independence, let's just say you core that down to who you are as a person, and you believe in independence, then what you do when it comes to your finances and building wealth will have to marry that value. So if independence for me is a value, I don't like owning real estate. I like owning businesses. I like owning companies. I like owning things that I can sit and be on the side and let them do its thing. I like owning investments in the market. I like owning real estate, but I don't like managing it. Another value, let's say for me, it's wealth. I don't care about money. I don't need $1 million in the bank to make me feel good. I care about building wealth. As long as I am building, I am happy. So for people who go, like my mother-in-law, who says one of her core values is money, she needs to see dollars and cents in her bank account. If she doesn't see that, she gets anxiety. So what I say to her is, okay, yes, keep the money transparent, but we can't tie it up in different businesses. So if you're somebody that says, you know what, I love relationships, for example, that means that typically you're going to actually want to build your wealth with a partner. If family is important for you, then probably you're going to want to work with somebody who feels like they are part of your family. So finding who you are as a value first and then going out from there is so crucial. If you're not aligned, how are you going to build wealth? It doesn't motivate you anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's what's really interesting, and I'm laughing at your celebrity comment. Think to Perform is a company that created this behavioral financial advisor certification, everything. I just help them digitalize all of it. But when it comes to the kind of like the neuroscience of decision making and everything, what's really fascinating is, you're 100% spot on, which is if you're trying to make decisions and take actions based on things that aren't aligned with the core of who you are, it's going to be an uphill battle and a struggle the entire time. And especially when it comes to something as, let's be honest, as crucial as money, as wealth, or however you want to define it, being able to have that financial security or be able to pay for your lifestyle, whatever it may be, you really have to make sure you're making choices that align with who you are. Otherwise, you're going to be building something that may reach the monetary goal, but doesn't leave you happy and fulfilled as a person.
Money does not build happiness. Money builds comfort.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If you think money will buy you happiness, you will find depression. If you think money will buy you all the luxuries in life, you'll have nothing in the end of the day. Money will buy you comfort. That's all it does.
And when you think of comfort, right? Comfort means different things to different people, obviously, too. And so when you're giving this advice, and I'm going to jump to tying this into kind of like the experience that you have with your customers and your clients in just a second. But I think it's really important that when you're looking at giving advice and making that alignment, if you will, it's framing your investment decisions, your money making strategies, your wealth building legacy, whatever it is around those values. And that takes conversations that are beyond the balance sheets.
Yep. I mean, the first conversation that we have with people is literally just like having like laughing, finding commonality. That'll take me like 30 minutes just to like joke and like really get to know that person and really get to their deep anxieties. Everybody has those issues. So if you're trying to like, that's where I couldn't work at, I worked at Merrill Lynch for a couple months and I hated it. I hated every minute of it because everybody fit into this little like box that we all design and that we think like, okay, the masses can fall into the box. I'm going to do this for that person. But then I realized like each person's different. And not only is each person different, I'm kind of a different guy. I'm a weird guy. Like I like my own stuff and I'm very okay with that. So I have to relate to somebody and they have to relate to me. And if I don't have a deep connection with them, and I think it's a big problem with people who are building companies that aren't able to actually understand who they are. Like for example, why is Louis Vuitton so successful? Why is the Bernal family one of the wealthiest families in the world? There was a day that they were actually wealthier than Elon Musk. So why is it that they're so wealthy? What does Louis Vuitton do? At the end of the year, Louis Vuitton takes all of their bags and takes them and burns them. They actually light them on fire. They don't discount them. They don't send them off to the secondhand shops. They don't do any of that. They take them and burn them. Why? Because if you are not a fit for Louis Vuitton and Vuitton, however you want to pronounce it, if you're not a fit for them, they're not a fit for you. Mm-hmm. And they create this community and they create this common building and they create this amazing platform. The same thing when it comes to alignment and understanding is when you are talking to anybody. It could be your therapist, it could be this, and it's the same joke as I say. It's like tire kickers, but you're kicking your advisors. You got to make sure that number one, they relate to you and you relate to them. If there is that misalignment there, you're just wasting money. They will add significantly less value to you. And I'm talking about even your personal trainer. If they do not relate to you, if they cannot understand you and then align your values accordingly. I tell people all the time that if your advisor cannot justify their fees and add to your bottom line and make you more wealth in every capacity, every type of advisor, you fire your advisor. There are plenty of great advisors out there that will add value.
And I like that framework because it's advisors. I love how you said it's not only a financial advisor. It's your therapist. It's your fitness instructor. It's whatever it is. And I think the big difference here and what underpins it, are you viewing it as a transaction or are you viewing it as a relationship? And when you look at that core, that's one of the things that scares people, I think, the most when I talk to them in my world, this AI, this automation and everything. And I say, no. I believe in AI to help you manage the transactions that stem from the relationships. And that's a very different thing because so many companies are going into this using AI on the front end before they've established that key relationship and have that shared trust and shared value base.
I think AI, I think that the need to be creative and have creativity is going to be what puts people from 1% to 99%. The more creative you are, the more of a visionary that you are, the more that you will be successful over time. AI is great for execution. It's not great for idea building. So for example, the CEOs are always going to, why are CEOs so paid so much money? Why? Because they're visionaries. They think 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, they think about the roadmap, they think about this, they think about that. But what are CEOs the worst at? And if you know any CEOs, and you know any business owners, you all say, oh, they're all over the place. Everyone says about their CEO or their friend or whatever that are in the clouds, they're all over the place. But what are they terrible at? They are terrible executors. Mm-hmm. They are not chief operating officers. AI is going to replace the chief operating officers, but the visionaries, those guys can't get replaced because AI is just taking past data, creating a probability of what the actual spit out will be, and then pushing it forward. But it doesn't predict the future. It can't design the future because we need creativity and we need experiences to go, you know what? This didn't feel right for me. If I did it this way, then that feels right. And then implement it with AI. But creativity, I tell people all the time, we have to learn to get more creative. And that's taking away the phones. That's going on a hike without staring at Instagram or like all these things that steal your soul. And that's how you will get more creativity. And it needs to be a muscle. Write down your thoughts. Like for example, I go on media, I go on national and international media all the time. I was just on something like 2 days ago. And I write for the Huffington Post. I write for all these places. But before I go, I can't go, what is they want to hear? No, news is about new information, not past information. So what I do is I constantly write just my thoughts like, oh, okay, this is what I want to think. This is what I want to say. And then I'll clean it with AI after. So I visionary and then I implement using AI.
I think There's a great analogy. I'm trying to remember the show that it was on, but it was Ben Affleck, and he was talking about, you have the difference between somebody who's putting a piece of furniture together, the basic role of carpentry versus the artisan carpenter, right? The basic process of putting furniture together, your basic operations, right? So your analogy with the CEO and COO, right? The operational side of things can get replaced, but the visionary, the strategy, the connecting the dots. So if you're a COO or you're in any role that is more procedural based right now, it is gaining, to your point, that creativity, that innovation, that perspective and awareness. And the best COOs right now, anyway, are those who are able to piece together every little part of the system that's there. And that's not being replaced by a machine, but the route running of reports, giving basic analysis, providing predictions, machines can do that. Putting those predictions in a context, though, takes creativity and foresight.
Absolutely. And I think it's a big I did hear one thing that was very interesting from Gary Vaynerchuk, who I don't listen to that often because I don't think he's that amazing, but he works for some people. He goes, what's your biggest predictor for AI in the next 10 years? He goes, people are going to marry AI robots. If they're like actually going to get married. And I was like, yeah, probably. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Everyone has their reasons for interacting and reacting the way that they do, for sure. And I think there's a lot of things. I mean, I remember when Roombas first came out, right? Those little robots that clean your house.
I love
them. I fell in love with those. I still have one. I still use it. It's great. It's a nice little tool to help me through a process that is repeatable.
Correct.
But when it comes to how I map that thing out, I have to add human inputs to it so it doesn't go into certain areas because I know that this one area, it always gets caught up in the rug, whatever it is. So it's adding those human insights to it. And I think when it comes to so much that's happening right now in, the fintech space, right? So let's kind of, tie the tech into your world. There's some really cool things going on in fintech, but I feel that this is my perspective. A lot of the companies are taking it too far and removing the human too far out of the loop.
Yeah, so I agree with that. There's this company that friends of mine, or semi-friends of mine, they wanted to automate life insurance sales. That's what they want to do. They want to use AI to automate life insurance sales. They call themselves Modern Baba. I don't want to say the name. And I said to them, I would go, have you guys ever sold a life insurance policy before? They go, no. I go, so then how can you, what are you talking about? Like, you never sold insurance before. How can you actually understand the process and how to AI the process? And they're just like, no, we're going to use AI. We're going to this. I was like, there's no answer to these problems. So after 4 or 5 years, they finally listened to me and brought an actual salesperson in to run the sales operation arm because they have all this money, they have all this tech, but it's just not doing anything. So I tell people all the time, you're not going to get replaced. And especially in the financial services world, everybody thought, for example, when robo investing came in, they thought it was the end of the advisor. They thought it was over. Then what happened was robo investing got killed one year and the markets got killed one year. So what did everybody do? They panicked and they didn't trust their robo advisors anymore and they sold. And then they called and the people who were working with financial advisors, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, independents, doesn't make a difference. They call their advisor. They say, what the hell's going on? He goes, hey, we're not selling. And they go, no, I hate you. We're going to sell. And they go, no, we're not selling. And they go, what do you mean? I can't even log into my account, whatever. And next thing you know, they don't sell. And the person who went into the robo-advisor is still catching up versus the person that went in with an actual human person. So fintech, I don't think, is going to outpace the human being because the relationship factor still matters. Creativity and empathy still matters. That cannot be replaced.
I agree with you on that. Creativity, that empathy. It can be a tool to help you understand people better. It can be a tool to help you generate new ideas. It can do all that, but you have to start with some key human input. And so I think the fintech companies that I've seen do it well are really focused on how can we use AI or use tech to help us understand our customers better, and then also be able to serve our customers when humans aren't available. Again, not replacing the humans, but to be able to automate communication at scale that, again, initiated from a real human, to automate different types of check-ins and processes and everything like that. Again, not replacing the conversation, but using those tools to help prepare the client for the conversation a little better. Are you guys using any of those types of tools in your business, or have you seen it done well?
all day long. We're doing right now an AI implementation into our stuff, because it's just, there's all the basic stuff. I need my tax documents. I need statements. I need to prepare for a meeting. There's just stuff that we don't need to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a big rollout for all of our clients to do that. And on the second side, we're actually pushing, like, in terms of moving forward, we've built a very significant brand right now with, I mean, we just did a video yesterday. It's already at like 25,000 people that saw it just on Instagram alone. And like, understanding that, yes, now there's a lot more information out there. The second side of it is also very important for scale and for also helping to build businesses, is right now there's tools that we all use that can help, that helped grow our businesses. Facebook ads, for example. Facebook now has 50,000 data points on each one of you. So each one of you have 50,000 data points from Facebook. Now, what you can use with AI and Facebook ads, they're so much more powerful because they're actually crafting and designing the ads specifically towards that person and specifically to target that person and creating lead flows from it. So think of it like this: AI, we're not using AI any differently, but we're using it as a better operator. So we do Facebook ads, for example, and Instagram ads. And that leads to X, and that leads to clients, and And thankfully, we probably turn away 7 to 10 of the clients that come to us a week, because they have to be the right fit on both sides. And we put so much value and time into our clients, and we really want that. But we figured out that we can optimize using AI for growing our business, servicing our business, and making sure also that we vet our clients properly to make sure that they're the right fit for us, and using them to just add value and just to blow everybody else away. I'm in a sleeping industry, so I'm very fortunate. Like, my industry is, no one's doing anything. So I'm like 10 steps ahead of everybody else. And while at the time they catch up, we're thankfully adding a lot of value to our clients.
I think what you hit on is one of the key things that every talk I give, I said, the number one thing that we can do with our communication and touch points in any stage of the customer experience, whether it's in the initial get to know you stage to the how are we going to have repeat business and get referrals stage and everything in between, it's personalization. And technology now, the data that is available now, and to your point, the data that is freely out there that we have in using social media, in using digital tools, are freely putting out there, not leveraging that human data to make better decisions, to give more targeted communication, to make things more personalized and the experiences more customized. You're falling behind the 8 ball if you're not even leveraging that.
Can I give people a free way to like build a business?
Bring it.
Your audience. So I started this business when I was in college, and put me through college. I was making about $100,000 a year as a personal trainer. I had a personal training business. That's how I paid through college. I paid in cash. I went to the registrar with like a stack of bills. And what I did was I figured out that Facebook had an algorithm that if I was friends with enough of the same people, I can send a direct, and this is when Messenger started getting more popular. I can send a direct, if I had like 4 or 5 friends of you, Jill, I can send a direct message to you, even if we're not friends, and it'll go directly into your inbox. That is a direct text message to your phone saying, hey, I'm offering you 2 free personal training sessions or a new gym, come and try us out. So I did that over time, and I built up this great business. So then I went, all right, now I got to take it to the big leagues. I got to get to Wall Street. I want to be in finance. I want to build real wealth. Like, I want to actually really add value. And I get into financial advisory, and I go, okay, how can I do the same thing that worked for my personal training business? I can do that for other people. So I realized that you can use LinkedIn, that people don't realize there's this huge social media platform. You can use LinkedIn and find people and directly message them wanting to add value to them. Hey, I'm part of a networking group, or I'm part of this community, or I'm looking to meet more accountants to send business, or if you're looking for a job, hey, and you're looking for recruiters. Hey, I'm looking for recruiters like, I'm looking for just resources to use, and like, I'm looking to help, I'm looking to coach, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. And you can create a very easy way to build a business. So for example, landscapers, let's just say landscapers need to find property managers, right?
Right.
So if you go into a landscaping business, which is a very profitable business, and I know a lot about landscaping, like more than people should know about landscaping is my personal feeling. If you're in landscaping business, you need to get money from property managers. So going on LinkedIn and finding direct connections, 2, 3 direct connections, and slowly dripping on them over time and just saying like, hey, would love to connect with you. Maybe I could refer people to you because you're a property manager. Maybe I know other landlords and I could refer people to you. And you start creating a relationship, but starting with how can I help you is going to be the key. That works for any business. The first stage is to find out the life cycle of a sale, life cycle of a client. So a therapist, typically, let's say a psychiatrist typically comes from therapists, or a psychiatrist or nutritionists will send a lot to personal trainers. It doesn't really matter. You have those people that are constantly sending you. So making sure first you connect with those people and creating this referral source, it's all right there on LinkedIn. Like everyone's spilling their guts on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and all these other nuts platforms and Twitch where they, whatever, I don't know what Twitch is, a different animal in itself. Animal.
Yeah.
Well, they want to hate some Jews, go on Twitch. That's
but it's all about, you say it the first thing, it's add value. But again, it goes back to relationship versus transactional, right? And how you're viewing it. Because there's a lot of people who do the spray and pray approach on LinkedIn and Messenger, and we've all gotten it. We've all gotten the spam that's like, hey, I have this video out. Please watch it. Please share it or whatever. And it's very self-serving and it's very spam. And again, it's how are you going to have a mutually beneficial, value added on both sides exchange? And then once you figure that out, once you figure out I always call them your tangential referral sources, right? It's like who uses the people that need you or who serves the people that you need. And oftentimes it may be a source that you're not typically thinking of, right? You think, your landscape company example, you think it's homeowners. So then maybe you immediately think who has that? Well, maybe it's mortgage, but no, property management is way up bigger. Developers are way bigger. And it's really looking at those reciprocal relationships. And again, you can be innovative in thinking about those. You can be creative in thinking about those, but then leverage tools to help you figure out what the best approach is to get to these people.
Correct. And that's where exactly just to do the weave, the famous weave now, just to weave it back, you can also use AI to say, okay, well, I have this idea for LinkedIn and I want to get more centers of influence, people that are constantly feeding me instead of looking for end users. Don't look for end users, look for centers of influence. And centers of influence are the people that will consistently send you business. It will take slower, but you will make more money. That I can tell you
absolutely
9 times out of 10, that's how it works. I don't want to promise because I have compliance, but the main thing that on that side is if you look for centers of influence and you say, okay, well, I am and be very, very, very specific with AI. I am this, and talk with AI for like 10 minutes to really find out who you are. And then say, who are the people that refer me in my area? And you're going to find that. So make sure that you get it really, really, really niche-y. And if you're somebody who doesn't work virtually, you work in person, make sure you say in my area, like in my community, because there's going to be factors of people that aren't going to drive more than 15 minutes or whatever. Or if you are virtual, then you got to make sure your time zones are properly. There's so much out there. So just being super, super specific, because the world is a huge place. It's 400 million people in the US, like 399 million cannot be your client. Like it's just too many people. So unless you're Zuckerberg, it's a different battle. But that is an easy way to build a business starting day one.
Well, and it goes back to specificity, which you only have when you have the right human input that goes into the context, that gives the machine all the information that's relevant to be able to help you plan, be more strategic, and operationalize whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. And people aren't doing it. And I think, and just because you're listening to like the Humanize Automation podcast, you're going to get this information. Nobody else is getting it.
It's really, a lot of people think it's, I say this all the time. If you've listened to the show, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's so freaking important. AI, generative AI, it's not a binary. It's not a 0 or 1 or a yes or no. It's not a zero-sum game. It's how can I use this to be more efficient? How can I use this to save time? How can I use this to spend time being more human and focusing on the relationships instead of doing these route operational tasks? And when it comes to even thinking about your strategies, your campaigns, your business building escapades, like we're talking about here, no matter what area it's in, it's like having a second advisor. If you're not at least running things by it right now, to have a better starting point when you do talk to the real human, you're taking away valuable time from all parties involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually think it's really important to use AI and to embrace AI and not let it to build anxiety and not to be fierce and standing up against it. It's already here. AI's been here for existence for 15 years. It's not like it came in out of nowhere. People have been using AI forever, but now it's just become a lot more on the retail side. Like you think Facebook woke up one day, they said, "Oh, ChatGPT is doing it, so tomorrow I can copy it." No, it took them many, many years, and everybody was working in the same direction. They just didn't make it available for the masses yet.
No, it's really interesting. People look at me are like, oh, so you do these digital clone things, in my second business. And I'm like, they're like, oh, is that new? I'm like, actually, we started playing with it in 2020, which was 2 years plus before ChatGPT came out on the market. They're like, that stuff didn't exist. And I'm like, that stuff existed in the mid 2010s, guys. Like this has been around for longer, and the
Correct.
term was coined in 1956. So it's not like we're at this new place.
What was Siri? Like everybody has an iPhone. What was Siri? Siri is just an AI feature. It's just not as, it's just a baby compared to everybody else. But Siri is AI. Like that was, they bought that and then they implemented it in their phones and everybody loved it. So it's only going to get better. I think it's going to only enhance human civilization. But I do think that everybody needs to be really, really specific to not hinder their creativity. Push your brain past where you're comfortable with, but you can only do it when you're actually doing like traveling and just living free and not being stuck on your phones, not checking it every 10 seconds, and having these types of conversations and listening to different podcasts that are real and not really scripted is really the way that you're actually going to help build your mind.
I love all of those points. And I think one of the things that you said earlier, and I just want to nerd out and give everyone a key phrase right here, because what you said, Yair, earlier was like, go on a hike, take yourself on a walk or whatever. What's that? That's called an attentional network in your brain. And when you can switch the attentional network, like attention as in paying attention, you can change your thought processes, your synapses, the way they're firing and all of those things. So it's getting yourself, as you say, away from the norm, away from the scroll, away from your echo chambers, because we all have them. If we're online, we all have echo chambers. That is the way it is being designed right now, and has been for quite some time. But it's taking that. And I love so much the re-emphasis throughout the show today on creativity and stretching your mind in that way and making those connections. So before we wrap up, is there you ended on a great note already, but I want to give you another chance. Anything else you want to say here?
I think the main thing is if you are somebody who actually understands wealth and understands wealth building, don't keep that for yourself. There's a lot of people around and there's a lot of people that you don't know that can benefit from the information you have. So even talking about like a Roth IRA or talking about like how you put money into your kids' college savings plan and like what you're doing, have creative conversations with people just to open it up, and you'll see wealth will actually build to you. That's part of that like values assessment, values understanding of who you are. But if you're somebody who likes to have conversations and likes to chit chat, talk about money. Let's like free against the stigma of not talking about money. But like there's a lot of really, really poor people in this country, and there's a lot of really poor people, and there's a lot of people that just need like some information to rise above their station. And if you're somebody who's listening to this podcast, typically you're someone that's looking for next level information. I think we have to pay it forward more to other people to give them next level information and not take something for it. Just do it as a conversation. Don't tell people what to do, but just give it from your experiences. Well, I was putting my kids through college, I did ABC, XYZ, instead of, hey, you're trying to put your kids through college, do this, 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 and this.
No, I love that perspective. And again, it's back to the spirit of adding value to others. So Yair, you certainly added value here on the show today. Thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, thank you so much again for tuning in. As we say in the episodes, like, subscribe, comment, share, all of those things. And of course, check out the show notes. Go check out Klyman Financial. Lots of good stuff on that website. Follow them, everything that they're doing. And as always, I'll be back with you next week with another episode.